Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to be following up on my last video. I hinted at and showed some footage of the LS swap that took place, and now I'm going to be going over what led to that. So in my last video, I showed you guys how I got the car started and everything, but I didn't tell you guys that unfortunately that engine was actually burning oil. And at first I thought it wasn't a big deal, maybe because it had been sitting for so long, but it was actually burning a lot of oil. You could definitely see a big cloud of blue smoke when you got on it hard. So the next thing I did was get the casting number off the back of the block. Then I decoded that number online, only to find out that it was just a 307 small block, which made about 200 horsepower. So after thinking about it for a while, I was trying to figure out what to do. I definitely did not want to rebuild that 307 small block, and I had been doing a lot of research on doing an LS swap already, since I had another project truck that I was going to start, and I also happened to have an LQ4 sitting in my backyard as well. So I made my decision that I was going to LS swap the Camaro. I got the car pulled into my driveway, and then I started working on pulling the engine and transmission out of there. How's it going, guys? I'm getting ready to start on this project. It's a 69 Camaro. It's going to be getting an LS swap. I'm going to start pulling this engine out of it shortly. I believe it's a Chevy 305 small block, but I'm not too sure about that. I know it's a base model Camaro. It's going to be getting, I know they're covered up, but there's a LQ4 6.0 on that side and an LM4 5.3 on this side. Not too sure which one it's going to be getting. More than likely the LM4 5.3, as this one's cleaner and has less miles on it. Alright, so I'm actually going to fire it up one last time to let you guys hear it before I go ahead and pull the engine out. Alright, so I'm just adjusting the manual choke here. It does have a cable to it, but I'm not sure why it stopped working, and I don't really feel like messing around with it, to be honest. So it's at a cold start here, so I'm just going to be adjusting the choke here so it starts up. Give it a little fuel. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Alright. Obviously the car needs a lot of work. I'm not really sure how much I want to invest into restoring it. It's mostly going to be just a vehicle for having fun. Anyway, let me go ahead and get it started here for you guys. Alright. Does keep itself idling just fine. Sometimes she needs a little convincing to stay started, but she does run. Anyway, that was about it. Just wanted to show you guys that it does indeed start, but she will be getting a swap. So that will be the last time that this little engine right here runs. Not really sure what I'm going to end up doing with it. I don't think it's a numbers matching engine, so I don't think it's the original engine that came with this car, but once I can see the numbers behind the engine block, I'll be able to give you guys some more information on that. Alright guys, just a little update here. So this is actually a transmission that's going to be going into the Camaro. It's a T56 out of an 03 or 04 Corvette, I believe. It's got very low mileage. This is not going to be the easiest swap to do, but it does work. I've already looked it up online. There's a bunch of parts that I'm going to have to get for it to make it work, but this is the one that's going to be going into the Camaro. Alright, so a little progress update here. I've got a couple things out of the way already. Got the power steering pump out. Got the little cover for the radiator. Little miscellaneous hoses, battery. and I've actually got the car up in the air now. I'm getting ready to go underneath there and disconnect the transmission from the engine. Not much else going on in here. I disconnected a couple little wires here and there. There's not many wires to begin with on these older model cars. Alright guys, so I'm going to be concluding here for the day. The bolts that hold the engine down on either side are out. The bolts holding the flex plate and the what do you call it, and the bolts holding the flex plate and the converter together are out, and all the little things, the miscellaneous things like the accelerator pedal have been disconnected. The manual choke has been disconnected, so at this point it's ready to be pulled out. I was gonna start pulling it out now, but it seems to be stuck on something, so I'm not sure if I'm missing one last thing or if it's just getting stuck on the edge of the firewall there. Either way, it's dark out here. I'm getting ready to call it a night. Yes, the engine hoist is already set up to start pulling the engine, but like I said, I don't feel like continuing anymore for the night, so I'm going to be concluding here. And in case any of you guys were wondering, yes, I did say I pulled the bolts out that attach the engine mounts to the frame of the body, and no, nothing happens if you drop it down without the bolts. It sort of just lines up in place. But anyway, I will resume recording once I'm in the progress of pulling the engine again. I also forgot to mention I did pull the hood off, so it's sitting over here. Those are the rest of the things that I pulled out earlier. Of course, a bunch of coolant right here on this reservoir. And yeah, that's it for tonight, guys. Okay guys, another update video. The engine is out, transmission is still in there. I've gotten a chance to take it out. Next step is going to be to take off the whole front end of the car and take out the 2-speed power glide transmission out of it, and I'll update you guys as soon as that's done. So this is the old engine that was in it. I actually ran the block number on Google, and it looks like this is the original 69 that was in it. It's a small block 507, and this one needs to be rebuilt. It was burning oil pretty bad, but it was still fun while I was in there. Hey guys, Leo here. So this is a progress update on the 69 Camaro project that I got going on here. So I decided that I'm going to end up going with the 5.3 for the Camaro, and the 6.0 LQ4 that's over here is going to be for the Chevy pickup truck project that I'll be tackling on once I get the engine and transmission into the Camaro. Anyway, this is a 5.3 LM4. It came out of a 2004 GMC Envoy, and I was trying to get it started on this engine stand before I went ahead and redo the wiring harness down there. But I ran into an issue when I was working on this 5.3 right here. So the problem is that, the issue I ran into at least, is that the fuse box was not the same as the fuse box that I picked up for the LQ4 back there. LQ4, pretty simple. You just jump this pin right here straight to power. That'll send power to your fuse box, and it will turn on your ECU. Now the issue I had was that the wiring harness that's on the ground right here is actually for this engine, the 5.3, but the fuse box is very different than this, and I couldn't find the pin, this exact same pin, to power up the fuse box and the ECU. And long story short, I couldn't get it to work on the harness. I ended up taking it off and using this harness, which belongs to the LQ4 over there. And I was also having issues with this one. It would not turn on. It would crank, no spark at all. And I wasn't sure what it was. I mean, everything was plugged in verbatim exactly how it was plugged in on the LQ4, and it still wouldn't turn on. and it ended up being a ground. So I actually started off by disconnecting all the grounds, cleaning them up, and then connecting them again. So the LQ4 harness has 2 grounds that end up going here. I made sure that was nice and clean. Then I came down here to the starter and I cleaned up all the contacts on the starter. And unfortunately, I had missed another ground that belonged to the harness, to the main harness here. So I had these 2 they look like 10 gauge wires going down to my battery from my ground, and then I had missed this strap right here, this connection, ground connection for the main harness. Anyway, once I got that one plugged in, I got everything else set up here, and I cranked it, put a little fuel in it, and it fired right up. So that's what the issue ended up being. So I'll go ahead and crank it now. I gotta spray some fuel into it to get it to turn on, but I'll go ahead and crank it. So I'm gonna set the phone down real quick while I spray some fuel into it. I also want to go back to the ground issue. It's very important that your ground connections be clean. Make sure that it's a good, secure connection, because I wasted a lot of time trying to get this engine to turn on, and that ended up being a simple ground issue. Now with that other harness, I'm not sure what the deal with that one was, but this one, it was just a ground issue. And unfortunately, I ended up swapping a bunch of sensors from the LQ4 over to the 5.3 LM4 because I thought it might have been a sensor, but it was just a simple ground issue. So just make sure you guys keep that in mind if you guys are having issues firing up your 5.3 after your swap. So I'm going to go ahead and set the phone down here for a little bit and try to fire this up for you guys. Alright, so the way I'm actually getting this engine to turn on is just using this little bottle, spray bottle with a little bit of gas in it, and I'm putting some gas in the intake manifold here. I know probably not the safest thing in the world to be doing, but that's how I'm firing it up. So anyway, I'm just going to throw a little gas in there, and then I'm going to turn it on. Alright, so just having a couple technical difficulties here on my battery. Actually didn't have enough juice in it anymore. I've been using it since yesterday. Anyway, so here we go. I'm going to fire it up. Like I said, I'm just going to be spraying some fuel into the intake right here. I'm going to crank it with this little device right here. I'll show you guys after how I set this all up. Alright, so there it is. You guys heard it. Alright guys, so that's it for this video. I got more content coming soon. I'll be going over how I installed the LS engine and how I converted the C5 T56 into an F-body T56. If you guys are interested, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.